I love this. I love this so much. This Mayfeld Bill Burr custom action figure by WickedJoyful is one of my favorite Star Wars possessions ever. You guys know me, I'm not much of a collector. I don't own a lot of stuff. What I do have, I love with all of my heart. I'm a big Bill Burr fan. I've loved his stand-up for years. I've listened to a bunch of the podcast that he's on for years, and I thought his performance in The Mandalorian was fantastic. I don't know about you guys, but I want more Mayfeld. So to have something like this, a Bill Burr Mayfeld action figure that bridges the gap between Bill Burr the comedian and Bill Burr the Star Wars actor is crazy. It's awesome. It's something that's so unique, and it's mind-blowing that I have this. WickedJoyful only made 5 of these action figures. He kept one for himself, he gave me one, and he sold 3. I had a great 2-hour conversation with Nick from WickedJoyful, which you can hear after this little intro, so stay tuned for that. Happy May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Happy Star Wars Day, folks. What I love about Nick's WickedJoyful stuff, and this is not like a sponsored video or anything. I've been talking to Nick for like 5 months now. It's been really cool, and it just, yeah, we see eye to eye on a lot of things. It's really neat. But what I love about his stuff is how he obviously has a passion and love for whatever subject matter he tackles, and it's all really clever. It often bridges 2 things together, like, you know, Boston Billy and Star Wars, for example, or even something like Dan Aykroyd in the Ghostbusters blowjob. That is a card back that he made. I love it. It's all just fun and clever and lighthearted. I love the vibe. I just love what he's doing over there with WickedJoyful. Go follow him on Instagram because he's going to be making some fun limited Star Wars run stuff like this, for example, Banana Boba Fett. Bo Banana Fett. Bo Banana Fett. I had a hard time saying that. Bo Banana Fett. I think that's how you would say it. It's a play on the, I don't know if you guys remember, you probably do, the banana duct tape piece of art that sold for $120,000 a few years back. So yeah, fun stuff like that. Keep an eye out. Go follow him on Instagram. He's got more fun Star Wars stuff coming as well. I appreciate the little things, little details, from the wrapping paper that Space Boston Billy came in, to the Pez that Nick sent, or even the Garbage Pail Kids cards that he sent over in the packaging. It's just all fun, man. I don't know. It's great. I love it. I love the logo too. I love what Nick is doing over there. WickedJoyful has a super fun and bright vibe and a super fun future ahead of itself. I love what you've built and are building, man, and I can't wait to see where it all leads. Some of you might be wondering, where has HelloGreedo been the past 5 months or so? He's only uploaded like 2 videos in 5 months. That's true. I've been starting a new career, EMT firefighter, and it's been a blast so far. I'm loving it, and I'm only 5 months into the journey. So the channel should get back to a little bit of normalcy in the not too distant future. Now, enjoy my conversation with Nick from WickedJoyful.
Test, check 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 6.
Perfect. All right. Awesome, Nick. Welcome to whatever this is. It's not necessarily a podcast. It's just like a little chit chat. Some of you guys might know WickedJoyful. It's operated by Nick LaValle. Sorry, guys. I still have a little cold. He's a musician. He's a comedian. And he makes custom action figures. And we're here today to talk about all of that and more, and I can't wait to get into it. First of all, Nick, I want to say thank you for sending over a Bill Burr Mayfeld action figure. It's fucking mind-blowing. It's one of my favorite Star Wars possessions I have. So from the deepest part of my heart, thank you so much, man. It's cool as shit. So let everybody know who you are, what you do, and let's kick this thing off, man.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. And I was so touched that you had featured the Bill Burr action figure on your show. So when I was making that second kind of variant this past December, I was like, I need to put this in the hands of the dude who wears a stormtrooper helmet on YouTube. No, dude, you deserve it, and your fan base is super cool. All your friends that listen to you and stuff, they all seem super cool. And I was like, yeah, this is the guy who deserves the Bill Burr style Wallace figure.
Nice, man. I appreciate that. So, yeah, I made a video, maybe it was like October or November, something like that, where I basically went online to see if there were Mayfeld Bill Burr action figures. And I fell down a rabbit hole of like custom figures. It's a world that I did not know existed. And there, there's a bunch of people making them, and I had no idea that it was a thing. And I saw yours and instantly loved it. It was my favorite, and yeah, it's awesome. So
Yeah, well, it's based off of, as you had mentioned, it's like, one part or maybe more than one. Well, it's like one part Bill Burr's comedy, one part Star Wars. And then also, dude, I'm New England based,
right,
I'm from here. So it's like those jokes, like if they're not
the
necessarily like,
Yankees.
yeah, the Naboo Yankees suck, but like the
Hmm.
Dunkin' Donuts, the fact that it says fucking Star Wars, it's
Right.
like that's ingrained in my soul. Like I am New England, so
what what made you get into the action figure stuff?
this goes back in like I think January 2019. I might have the dates messed up here. Let's see. Yeah, no, January 2019. I had started I started just making the customs because I'd been doing stand up at that point for 9 years or something,
Hmm.
and or just about 10 years actually, and I just it was a grind because I work full time and I was doing stand up, nights and weekends. And then I was also playing in a band, and I was just sort of I was just getting bogged down with like the politics of comedy, not
Hmm.
politics in comedy, but the politics of comedy.
Sure.
And like, I needed another creative outlet. I'm an obsessive creative, and that's what I kind of gathered a bit from your book that I've been reading. Sorry about the mess. One of those, and like the idea of like if you have these thoughts to do something, like just do it. Like just do it.
Yeah.
Get out there and like don't tell yourself you might do it, or don't talk to people like you might do it. Because also psychologically, if you keep saying like I'm going to do this, you're less likely to because your brain's already satisfied with the notion that
Oh,
that
interesting.
you thought it and said it out loud. So basically, what happened was I felt like I needed this other creative outlet, and I'm a sober person. I should have probably
Hmm.
said that right off the bat. I know you're not. I know you like your brews.
I like my beer.
Um, Absolutely, as you should, and definitely support local breweries, all that good stuff. But
Absolutely.
idle hands, so I just needed something else to do if I didn't have a gig, or I just didn't want to do a gig, or whatever it was. And I had started following Hands of Doom. I got to give a shout out to Hands of Doom
Hmm.
and Dan O'Brown and Death by Toys, a couple of other kind of heavy hitters in the custom action figure world, and I just love their stuff. I bought a Dan O'Brown and I bought a Super Secret Fun Club, and I was like,
Nice.
"Oh wow, I can do this," because it kind of like it's an art form that's a medium that you can express yourself, express your interests, or make maybe biting social commentary or whatever it
Right.
is. So what I realized was, stand up is a platform. Like these action figures to me could be a platform, and I didn't have to dedicate like a whole weekend to it and like sleep in a skeezy hotel or like crash on someone's couch or like
Right.
drive
Yeah.
4 hours back home. And also it's like I do graphic design. I like creating things. I like using my hands. So it was like, oh, I can do this. These are all the things like I'm capable of doing. And it just so I just started doing it. I haven't turned back, and it's everything has just snowballed, and I've just been meeting so many cool people.
Yeah,
And
that's it's really cool because there is the action figures, but I'm looking at my Bill Burr right here, and just the backing, the card backing. I I don't know, man. I love it. Even dude, even the wrapping paper that you sent in the box, the little details in what you're doing is like something that I absolutely love. For some of you guys listening right now, if you go to Wicked Joyful, if you just Google Wicked Joyful, you'll find his website, and Nick's made stuff like for Blank Man, Blank Man, like
yeah,
these random fun little movies or shows or moments dude, there's an action figure card back of the Ghostbusters blowjob. That is perfect.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
perfect. That's what I love about it. Like it's multiple interests of you got the things that you grew up with, but it's also like you said, you like working with your hands, and there's also graphic design elements with the card backing. It's just, it seems like one of those projects that tackles so many different things that you love. And I mean, we all have those creative outlets that you kind of, you get a little high when you're working on a project, right?
You got it.
And
Yes.
I can look at this and I can hear it in your voice, and I can tell that you get that like tingling when you start working on something new and you get a spark of a new idea, you know?
Yeah, and how was I going to say that? Man, I just got lost in the moment here. So, I see this as like a platform, right? So I can express
Mhm.
myself. And one thing that what I've been learning about myself, especially through the pandemic, is I want to live a more authentic self. And I feel like the direction that I had been heading in with my stand up, like it was no longer an authentic version of myself. You said an excellent thing in your book, and we talked about this before we started taping. You have this quote in your book, and I hope your people read it, because to me I felt like as I was reading it, you and I connected with you on such a level, and that other sounds cliche. Believe me, and this is so sincere. When I started reading your book, I was like, this guy wrote this for me. We're friends. I was like, but you said what you make is it, because you were referencing your earlier YouTube videos and referencing kind of where you are now in your life. And I think you wrote it just after your daughter was born. But you wrote
Mhm.
what you make, and you're not embarrassed by anything that you used to do, but it's not an accurate portrayal of who you are now. You wrote this line: what you make is a direct reflection of who you are at the time, but your personality shifts, so does your art. The reason why the quote in your book spoke to me, your words, because I throughout this pandemic and doing Wicked Joyful, I've realized like I am now living a more authentic version of self. And I think I'm doing I think I'm doing right by myself now. My self-esteem is up, maybe because I'm not getting on stage and saying disparaging things about myself that may or may not necessarily be true. Maybe my penis isn't that weird looking. But I think because of Wicked Joyful and because I'm sharing the things I love, packaged in a way that like hits all the perfect notes of nostalgia. So
Right.
it's like, and so I'm finding the people that relate to me, that like my interests, or like if I insert a joke in there, people are in on the joke, and it's been just such an amazing experience. And hell, man, I'm talking to HelloGreedo, so
There
I feel
you go.
good.
What's been your, I mean, it's probably like picking your favorite child, but what's been your favorite figure to make, if that's even possible to answer?
So the Bill Burr one, I got so much attention for that, and
Mhm.
it's not necessarily my favorite, but it's probably the one I'm most grateful for, right? Because
That makes
that
sense,
got
yeah.
that got me a bunch of attention. Someone very close to the production of The Mandalorian bought one of the more recent ones too. I can't
Mhm.
say, and I mean Robert Rodriguez commissioned one from me, but
Right.
the Bill Burr one, the same variant you have, one of the other three was purchased by someone super close to Mandalorian. I can't say
That's
who it
so
is
cool,
because
man. I
because they
understand.
haven't
That's awesome.
posted it, so it's like I don't want to.
Right,
Um,
right.
so that's the one I'm most grateful for. My favorites definitely we Rivers Cuomo from Weezer, just because I'm
Oh, nice.
such a fanboy. Like
Mhm.
uh, may or may not be the most abusive relationship I've been in. Being a Weezer fan. But
Right.
I love them. Good, bad, another one. I love Weezer. So that one
Mhm.
is my most favorite. Plus, that one is like the placement of Rivers is like perfectly in line with like where he is on
On
the
the
Blue album
blue.
cover.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at that right now. That's awesome.
So that
I
so
love
like
that.
that was just like clever. So like I love
Yeah,
that one.
yeah.
And then the Chris Farley Patrick Swayze double pack.
Mm.
That one was super fun to make. Like the whole time, I was just like giggling, you know, like because that SNL sketch is so good, and like who doesn't love Chris Farley? And like
Yeah.
I was like, I was like hand painting his belly, and like, and people are like, "How did you make Chris Farley?" And you'll appreciate this. The Chris Farley body is Rancor Keeper.
Hmm.
It's like that's what I use.
Really?
Yeah, because that's what I do is like, dude, I just like
Yeah.
I get action figures from like thrift stores, secondhand stores, comic book shops, my own personal collection, sometimes internet stuff if I'm looking for a specific piece. And I
Hmm.
just like I Dremel tool, I carve them and I super glue and use like other figures and kind of piece them all together.
Dude, this sounds like so much. Like this sounds like something that I would want to get into. Like it just sounds like such a fun
It
hobby.
It is, and, like, the next thing I knew I needed to level up, so, like, the thing that I had started doing and again, I was inspired by, my friend John, who's an awesome artist, Dollar
Mm.
Slice Bootlegs. He was, like, super encouraging, and everyone in this kinda community has been, like, very encouraging to me, and I'm super thankful for that, but, like, Dollar Slice was like, "Yo, man, like, your kit bashing is great," and, like, he was super complimentary 'cause he likes mine a lot, and he was like,
Mhm.
"I like your humor, I like you, we have, we have similar tastes in music." He's like, "You need to start casting because that's the one thing that's gonna level you up, like, you need to level up." So, like, he was, like, pushing me. So,
Mm.
I finally had a week off from work, like, 3 weeks ago, so I started making my own molds and casting my own figures. So
No shit.
The MacGruber figure that you'll see on Wicked Joyful on my Instagram,
Mhm.
that one was I made one figure, I molded it, and and then I casted like several figures so I can make duplicates now. So
Wow.
like if I were Will Forte actually bought 3 of the MacGruber figures, which is like
Get out of
crazy.
here.
It's like
That's
crazy,
awesome.
So um but so if you're for you listening to this podcast or this video, like people are like, you got to make more Bill Burr figures. Like, well, now I can. Like, now I have that
Right.
capability. So if you do love HelloGreedo's Bill Burr Star Wars figure, like, follow me on Instagram because I may have a third variant, and there'll be more than 5. Like,
Dude, that's so cool.
I'm thinking I'll make a dozen. Like, that's like if it's like hand poured, cast, hand numbered,
Mhm.
the whole bit, and they won't be as expensive as like the limited of 5, which were more or less, each figure was kind of one of a kind. So, but
Right.
I might do a dozen of a third variant, and I'm gonna post that sometime
That's so fucking
rel-
cool, man.
relatively soon. Yeah.
So when you say you cast them, so you put the original MacGruber in there and you create a mold. Is it going to be one solid piece or?
Yeah,
Are,
so the way that I did it was it's just one solid piece. And that's the thing
okay,
that, this is intended to be, a piece of art put on a shelf, hung on a
absolutely,
wall.
yeah.
And like what I sent with yours is like an acrylic case so you could just kind of
Hmm.
stand it up on a shelf.
Yep, it's hell
But
yeah. it's,
whenever
it's so
when
awesome.
yeah, whenever anyone buys something from me now, though, like whether it's the funny thing about the Ghostbusters blowjob, like with that card back, it looks
Mhm.
like an action figure card back with the bubble, but the joke is like
Right.
it's a ghost, so there's nothing in the bubble.
Yeah.
Um, so even when someone buys that from me, like I ship them in not an acrylic case, but like a nice hard plastic, like a plastic, I guess they're called star cases, so that
Almost like you would
it'll
put like a baseball card in or something like that.
kind of, yeah, kind of it
Okay.
like snaps in, and it's like sometimes you'll see them at comic book shops when they resell like old figures and
Mm,
stuff. So then that
okay.
way, like right when you get the package, I have the tissue paper with the Wicked Joyful logo on it. You open that up, and even your Ghostbusters BJ will be like in a star case, so you can like immediately like tack it to your wall or like put it on a shelf.
That's
Because
so awesome.
I want people to like feel good when they buy something from my shop, and like it's also even the card back is I hand make them. There's a process. Like I'm not just
Right.
printing that card back off of like a printer. Like I'm actually assembling 3 different elements like just to make the card back. And then I have a Toys R Us price gun with like original new old stock.
I was
trade
gonna
rails price
ask you
tag.
about that.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Um,
Dude,
so
that's so awesome.
I've got this. Am I talking too much?
No, I'm absorbing it. Trust me.
Okay, cool.
No, please.
So I think the thing I like most about doing this is, I'm living a more authentic self finally, and I'm grateful for the pandemic because of that. I have this day job
Mm,
where I work in community media, and like, we're out straight right now, but then I have this thing where it's like when I have this free time, I commit to Wicked Joyful, and all these different things, like you were just saying, like there's a graphic design portion, there's assembling the
right.
figure themselves, but also like the amount of work, like if someone commissions like a figure from me, they're like, oh, can you make this? I now have to think of, okay, what parts can I source to like create a figure
Ah,
that looks like this stranger I don't know, like,
right,
so
right.
then when I'm out like hunting for treasures at like secondhand shops or like vintage shops and like digging through like a barrel, a crate of figures, like I'm now looking at figures in a way where it's like, oh, who could this be? Or could this look like that guy that the commission just came in for?
Right.
So I'm thinking of all these different, my brain is just always like thinking about like what the next thing could be or might be, or could this action figure ever be someone else or reimagined, and what would I have to do with the Dremel tool to make that happen? But at the end of the day, it's like,
Hmm.
I'm just I just finished this other podcast with my friend Dana, and like we were, I because he was like, Nick, you're in a band and you do comedy and like you work in community media and now you have this action figure thing, like you do so much. And I had to tell him, I was like, dude, I'm a jack of all trades, master of nothing. And I think that's the type of personality nowadays that like more people have to have.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned this in your book about how like, I also agree with you. Like, I don't think millennials are lazy. I think that they are workhorses. Like everyone has like a side hustle or some other creative endeavor, and like they're always have a million things on their mind at once. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm very much the same way. And uh, and I'm trying to like uh, you know let myself like I'm being self-aware of who I am, and like trying to find success in that, and like moving forward with that, like knowing enough about a lot of different things. And I think Wicked Joyful is a great representation of that.
Absolutely. And it makes I personally feel like when you have that many interests or things that you have your hand in, it makes life not dull. It makes, if you don't feel like doing working on something, you can always hop over to something else that makes you happy or makes you money or makes you, it fulfills that interest that you have. You mentioned
Yep.
the pandemic and kind of like finding your way a little bit more that made you a little more happy. It kind of happened with me too. Like I was doing a bunch of freelance graphic design and photography and stuff, and then the pandemic hit, and literally, I mean, because I was a contract worker freelance, I didn't get any jobs for like 8 months. It killed anything that I was doing. So I decided to kind of go after and pursue a career field that I've always wanted to do since I got out of the military. It was being a firefighter. So that's what I'm doing right now. And it's like, it's just kind of, so now I have that. And I will also be doing more Greedo, on my off time, and I can still do my photography when I want to. So just trying to put my hands in a bunch of pots and
I think
um,
that's
yeah.
a great outlook, and I think it's really great that you're becoming a firefighter. I work with a lot of firefighters and
Oh,
police. So
nice.
actually, I just texted an officer that tonight, and I said, I told him, I said, something I'm really thankful for about the pandemic is getting to know my colleagues better, and
Mm,
and that's something, as working in community media, it's like I get to know different people with like different professions. I get to know the DPW employees better. I get to know Parks and Rec employees better, and I've been
right.
able to do that through the pandemic. But yeah, taking on all these things again, like I know it sounds cliche, but I think doing Wicked Joyful was something I was meant to do because I feel like I'm meeting more of my people. And I think you're
Right.
one of them. Like, I think I was meant to meet you, you know, and in the
For
same
sure.
way, you know, and doing all these things, there's a quote I read or was said on my friend's radio show a couple weeks ago. And I just want to say it. It's, if you cannot do great things, I can do, if I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way.
Oh,
And
I
that
dig
was
it.
a Martin Luther King, yeah, it was a Martin Luther King Jr. quote. And
Oh,
what
nice.
I've realized is, you know, I think different times in my life, it's like when I was trying to chase one like great thing, like, oh,
Mm.
I'm gonna be this, and like try to chase it. Like I was always like, it was always met with like just mixed results. Whereas when I've tried to like insert like with Wicked Joyful, I can kind of do all these little small things that add up to like that add up to great things, you know? So it's like I can do all
Right,
these
right.
small things in a great way that add up to having a greater purpose. And I think what I'm doing is my greater purpose is to like bring people happiness, positivity, and joy.
Absolutely. I mean, dude, when I opened the box that you sent me, I still have the wrapping paper, by the way. I cannot bring myself to get rid of that. But when I opened
That
it,
dude, that thrills me, man.
when I opened it, I just had the biggest shit eating grin on my face. And when I took it upstairs into my office, I was like hunting for I originally had a shelf that I was going to put it on. I was like, nah, it needs to be a little more front and center. So I am actually ordering another shelf. Anyway, yeah, I just had the biggest shit eating grin on my face. And, it's really hard to explain. It's really hard to explain because it does bridge, like we have multiple interests, but like the figure itself bridges multiple interests of mine, Star Wars and comedy. And I mean, obviously you stand up and all that kind of stuff. I've always been into stand up. Never obviously had the balls to attempt it, but my stand up heroes are like George Carlin is my all time favorite, Bill Burr. So yeah, this Bill Burr Mayfeld figure is like, I don't know, man. It's really hard to explain why it touches me on such a deep level. Um,
That's
yeah,
cool.
it's weird,
I
man. Yeah.
I'm glad that it hit you like that. And I think a lot of the figures I made, I think like, you know, you're not alone in the sense where you know, a lot of people like the Bill Burr figure, and I get where you're coming
Hmm.
from with it, having talked to you, you know, just chatting online and stuff, and then talking to
Hmm.
you before we tape this. But I kind of hear the same things like when people see the other figures, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
people have similar experiences, and it's just brought me so much happiness, man. Like people saw the what was another one where that grabbed people the same way that Bill Burr grabbed? Oh, well, the Clueless figure. A lot of people hit me up
Yeah.
with the Paul Rudd from Clueless because like they love Paul Rudd, they love that movie, you know, and same thing with the bands that I've done too. Like people just
I was
like
just
they're
about to
like,
say Coheed. Where the hell else can you get a Coheed and Cambria figure? Like, you
right,
know what I mean?
right, yeah, and it's like, you know, so yeah, it's been really fun. And like, you know, also, by the way, like I also, you know, I'm a Bill Burr fan. I got to meet Bill
Mm.
Burr a couple of years ago, which was really cool, and like pretty much it was kind of unexpected. Well,
Mm.
I met Bill Burr. I actually met Bill Burr at a taping when he was on the Bill Maher show.
Okay.
Um, so I was going out to LA because my little brother was shooting a movie. My little brother was in a Coen Brothers movie
No kidding.
with Channing Tatum. Yeah,
Oh.
and by the way, like I'm probably gonna tell some like cool, like very cool stories. I'm not cool. Uh, and my brother's like, you know, we grew up in New England. We're like, you know, we were like, my parents were probably middle class at best, or like my
Hmm.
parents thought we were. I shouldn't go off on that, but my brother's a tap dancer and theater actor, and him and his fiance actually had to move back to New Hampshire because Broadway's closed or whatever, and but like Patrick was in a Coen Brothers movie with Channing Tatum. Why do I keep Hail Caesar? He was in Hail Caesar.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And yeah, so Patrick was shooting that movie. He was staying at Sally Struthers' house, which that Sally, that's a story in itself. And I was like, oh, I had some time off from work, so I went out. I was going to do a spot at the Laugh Factory, and then my buddy had a friend who worked for Bill Maher, and so we got to go to the show. And it just so happens, coincidentally, like Bill Burr was the guest with like it was like Howard Dean, some author, and Bill Burr. So like afterward,
Wow.
Bill Burr like in like the schmooze fest, the green room or whatever, like afterward he was there, and I was like, oh, I gotta say hi to him. I was like, I gotta say hi.
Yeah,
So
is this like Howard Dean running for president time frame?
no, this was
Okay.
6 years ago, 7 years, like
Oh,
6 years
okay.
ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was whenever that. Yeah. Yeah, because he's the Bia guy. If people remember that. Yeah.
That's a shame. I like that guy. It's a shame that
He
sunk him.
was-
It's crazy what can sink somebody, right?
Can you believe? Yeah, can you believe it? Like that's what sunk him. Like
Right.
had
So
we only
stupid.
known. Had we only known. Had we only known what wouldn't sink some
Yeah.
presidential candidates.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, we don't need to go there. But yeah, it's like, but yeah, I got to meet Bill Burr, but like, I wonder if I met him now, would I be like, hey, I'm the guy who made this action figure? Because he's seen it.
You'd almost have to be. No question about it, right? I mean,
Yeah. But he was super cool when I met him because I was doing stand up at the time. I was doing a spot at the Laugh Factory like the next day, and so he was about to leave the green room thing or whatever, and I was like, "Oh, hey, Bill," I was like, "I'm a comic from New England, and you're awesome." And he was like, "Oh, cool." He goes, "How did I do?" Like he asked how he did, like after he did Bill Maher. I was like, wow, no matter what kind, like you can be Bill Burr, and like if you bump into a comedian after a set, you might ask them like how they did. Like maybe that never leaves a comedian's like soul. Like you always like
right.
check in.
Always doubting yourself.
Well, plus that's like such a big, but he made this. I loved when he was on that show because like, and watching from the audience was really cool because. At one point, you got Howard Dean talking and then some like political analyst talking. And then Bill Maher just realizes like Bill Burr's just like super quiet. So he was like, hey, Bill, what do you think about that? And Bill Burr said something like, you know what? I just feel like I'm back in social studies class in 7th grade and I'm already failing anyway. So you guys just go about your stuff. It was super funny. And it was like such a Bill Burr type of thing to say.
Right. I love it. I guess we can hop into Star Wars. I'm curious obviously you said you're 42, right? What year were you born? I can't do the math.
79.
Okay, 79. Okay. Has Star Wars been something that you've always been into or is it?
So, yeah, well, it's always been because, I had 2 older brothers as well. So like my brother Matt, when I was younger, I'll be totally honest. Like when I was younger, I was like all in on Masters of the Universe. Which you want to talk about favorite figures I made? The He Mandalorian that I had made. That's because that combines like 2 things I love. And like
right.
Anytime I can combine 2 things or more of things I love, like it's the same reason why you love the Bill Burr figure because it's Star Wars Bill Burr. Like Master Universe, like that's Star Wars and He-Man, like. Okay. Like, sure. So, when I was younger, I was definitely like way more, I was like Masters of the Universe all the way. Like, not that you compare them. Like, I liked Star Wars, but I was just like such a big He-Man fan when I was, like, but like, I also distinctly remember going to see Return of the Jedi, like in the theater for like my older brother's birthday. And then I think like, I always liked Star Wars, but then I actually got into it like hardcore when they re-released the special edition.
Oh yeah, like mid-90s.
Yes. Yeah. So always
Yep.
liked Star Wars, was always a fan, but then I really was like, oh wait, shit, I'm like a Star Wars fan when they re-released it. And also like a couple friends of mine, like we skipped school to like go see the special editions, like re-release
Nice. Yeah,
in the
that's a
mid
good time to
90s.
like jump back into it with the special editions and then the build up for the prequels and all that kind of stuff. For
Yeah,
sure.
and then that's kind of what happened was like, as the prequels were coming up, people were getting more amped about it, and like so
Mm-hmm.
did I. And then but yeah, and I also just remember being younger too, like when my parents first got a VCR, like getting the Star Wars movies on, VHS tape and stuff. Like I remember an uncle
Mm-hmm.
bringing over Jedi, you know, and being like really
Yeah.
psyched about it. And then here's something I was like, oh, I gotta drop this on HelloGreedo because he's probably gonna get such a kick out of it. Um, so like then the prequels came out, and then I work in community media, and there was a time when the our TV, like like the town's TV channel was like in this high school, and I actually taught video production for a bit, which was like super weird.
Nice.
Yeah, just again, jack of all trades, master of nothing. I found myself in this position. So then the following year, like they hired this guy to teach the video production like full time. He was a big Star Wars guy, like huge Star Wars guy. And then like him and I became friends. And then back in like 2007, I want to say, he was actually, so I'm running the community media TV studio, and the guy who's now teaching high school video production is like a big Star Wars fan, and it was kind of like what we bonded on. You know what I mean? Like we
Hmm.
were two very different people, at least on the surface, but like we bonded over Star Wars. And he kind of like relied on like, oh, the community TV studios like cameras, and like because sometimes the kids would sign out cameras, or like he'd like send kids to volunteer to like record a basketball game or whatever. So like, but he was creating a Star Wars fan film. Like he had this idea of like to teach kids rotoscoping in his
Right.
videography classroom. Like he'd teach them that's how you can make a lightsaber, basically. I don't know how
Hmm.
the kids do it now. Now they could probably just do it on their phone very easily.
I
But he
probably, yeah.
but he was teaching them rotoscoping in After Effects to make lightsabers. And he was like, let's make a movie out of this. So, long story short, he made this Star Wars fan film, like using the high school as a backdrop, called Star Sports back in 2007, 2008 ish.
Hmm.
Well, that movie he submitted to the Adam. I don't know if you remember this, the Adam Films like Comic Con in San Diego, like Star Wars fan film festival,
Mm-hmm.
and they won. So I am in a Star Wars
Get
parody
out of here.
movie that won from Lucasfilm, like an award, like from Lucasfilm, and he actually has this like golden R2D2 C3PO statue, like from that.
That's I remember you sending a picture to me of that. I think there's a trailer right here that I'll
Did I
post
send you
this.
the?
Oh yeah, I'm
I
looking at
think
a trailer right now. In the
yeah,
school, I
I
see the
think
lockers and shit.
yes.
That's so
So it was
funny.
like Star Sports. So instead of like lightsabers, they used like dodgeballs because they couldn't really have like weapons.
Right.
Instead of blasters, they used dodgeballs. That's what it was.
Oh, and I see a golf club and lacrosse sticks. Nice.
Um, I'll send you. Did I send you a photo of the R2D2 and C3PO statue?
I'm pretty sure you did. I'm pretty sure you did.
I'm gonna send it to you right
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
This is what we're doing. We're just shooting the shit, and people
I
are gonna
love it.
listen to it. There you go. I
I
sent
need
you
to
that
post this
statue.
Star Sports. Nice. Let's see. Instagram. Oh yeah, yeah. That's beautiful. What a like. Oh my god. I love that.
Yeah, I think the Star Sports trailer is on YouTube, right?
Yeah, it is. December 24th, 2009, but I'm assuming it's older than that. That's probably just when this was uploaded.
Yes. Yep. And it's uploaded by someone else because you can't find this movie online anymore.
Interesting. Angel the
So now
Lover
it's,
is...
yeah, I think
Yeah.
that was probably just like a student or something.
Gotcha. He's probably regretting this profile picture.
Yeah.
It's like long... I had this hair when I was early 2000s. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. Long ass hair. Yeah, you were talking about some bands and shit that you were into. It's just kind of like... what... probably the band that I saw the most... What's that? Can you hear me?
Oh, well, if we were still talking about Star Wars, like I am a huge Star Wars fan though. I'm like, I'm obviously not HelloGreedo level Star Wars fan, but
I'm not even
I love
HelloGreedo.
it, man, because like I think it's a good way to connect with people, and also as an adult, like you just watch the movies differently than you did when you were a kid, and like
Yeah, for
also
sure.
my nephew is like my sister-in-law and my brother. They always joke. They're like, yeah, we somehow gave birth to a Nick. Like he is just like all in on Star Wars, and
Nice.
it's been cool to watch him discover it, and like everyone like has their start. Like, okay, so I got into the original trilogy, but now I've seen like my nephew, like he kind of likes it all, but I could see how like
Mm-hmm.
some like a 7-year-old boy might start with like the Clone Wars, or like a
Absolutely.
7-year-old boy back 20 or 10 years ago might have got into it because of the Clone Wars, and now they're 17 and
Mm-hmm.
they're psyched about the new trilogy, or like psyched
Yeah, for
about the
sure.
Mandalorian. Like everyone is going to be gets into these things at different times, and it's really
Yeah.
that's why it's a shared thing. Like I don't think it's a shared, like maybe it's a shared thing in the sense where like, oh, you can watch it with your child who's going to discover that Luke is Darth Vader's son, like, or
Mm.
I said that in reverse, but what, like I remember when my friends like started having kids like in their mid-20s, almost 20 years ago now. They'd be all psyched when they're like, oh, I'm going to share like Darth Vader revealing that he's Luke's dad, like with my kid. But I think now it's going
Right.
to be very different. Like maybe it's just different, like, and I think it's cool as long as people keep
It's...
having this to connect over.
Yeah, it's Star Wars is... I mean, we've had basically 3 generations of Star Wars. It's a generational thing. You got the originals, the prequels, the sequels, and whatever else is coming. And what's been really cool through the channel is like, or early in my channel's existence, I shit all over the prequels. I was playing it up. I was kind of being an asshole about the movies, but it was... yeah, I was basically being a character, right? And over the past 10 years, I've seen a younger generation grow up and have a voice to defend the Star Wars that they grew up with the prequels and the Clone Wars and all that kind of stuff. So like, there's been this really neat switch of the fandom, I guess, over the past 10 years that I've been doing this. Like 10 years ago, you could not find a positive comment about the prequels in my comment section. Now, if you post something negative about the comment, you just get immediately waterfalled by a tsunami of kids who have a voice on the internet now and love what they love, So I think that's kind of
Right.
going to be the ebb and flow of Star Wars moving forward. You already see it with like a generation shitting all over the new stuff, but give it 10, 15 years, there's going to be a bunch of kids who grow up and tell those old fuckers to fuck off. That's going to kind
Yeah, for
of be
real.
how it is.
Oh, I think, dude, I mean, I saw that. I mean, my favorite band is Weezer. You know what I mean? So like I
Mm-hmm.
remember loving Pinkerton. Like the day it was
Sure.
released, I was like, "What is this?" You know, and I was like,
Is that El
"I
Scorcho?
love,
El Scorcho's on
dude,
Pinkerton?
El Scorcho,
Okay.
Falling for You, Get You,
Gotcha.
Tired."
Yeah.
The album opens Tired of Sex. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just such a it's such a like abrasive, like, because their first album is just like so like poppy, but you know it has the loud guitars, but it's like
Hmm.
poppy and it's like, and it's fun with the loud guitars and catchy hooks and stuff. But that second record was like so abrasive, and it came out at a time just as like music was getting less abrasive in the mainstream. Like, and
Hmm.
you know, that ska was about to take off, and like people were started listening to Spice Girls and didn't really care about grunge or alt rock anymore. So like
Right.
when that was released, I was like so deep into like, like rock and punk bands and stuff still. So like to me it was like, whoa, this is just like a different Weezer, and I was so psyched. But it was critically panned. And I always thought about it, it's like, well shit, if like you look at Weezer's first three albums, you know, Blue Album's A New Hope, Green Album is like Return of the Jedi, and Empire is is Pinkerton, you know, like.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Interesting.
And yeah, where it's just like different, it's darker, and it's, I loved it. And you know,
Hmm.
people hated, but people hated on it, dude. People hated on
Yeah.
Pinkerton when it came out. And I was just such a diehard Weezer fan. I saw them on that Pinkerton tour night before Thanksgiving, Providence, Rhode Island, front row, Lupo's Heartbreak Hotel in Providence, Rhode Island, hanging on to every word that Rivers sang. You know, like I was like in
Absolutely.
barely 16, 17-year-old, you know, self.
Yeah.
And it was panned. But like later on, what happened? You know, Pinkerton is now like this like beloved, like legendary, like celebrated, like emo slash like alt rock like album, right?
Right.
People, what I mean, wasn't Empire critically panned early on? It
Yeah. Yeah.
it
For the
wasn't
most
it
part.
wasn't it wasn't beloved. So like we might
Yeah.
very well see that with The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I think we
We
will.
can.
It's The Last Jedi is my favorite piece of Star Wars that's come out in the most in this generation of Star Wars. But I mean, you were talking about Weezer. I did that with like, I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with Brand New, the band.
Oh, brand
Um,
new, yeah.
yeah, so like your favorite weapon came out in, I don't know, maybe 2001. I don't know. And then Deja and Tandu came out, and it was so different, you know, a little slower, not as, you know, I don't even know, fast paced and distorted. And I kind of
I
had the same feeling, like, what the fuck is this? This is
I
different. But then I loved it. Give it a year, and I loved it. But,
oh yeah, I remember feeling kind of that way about it as well, because it was so different. And your
mm,
favorite weapon has so many good hooks.
yeah, yeah.
Like those the tell all the English boys you meet about the American
About the
boy
American
back in the
boy
States.
back in the
Like,
States. Yeah, hell yeah, man.
yeah, that's such a good. Yeah, there's so many hits on that record. Like, you know,
Hmm.
and so many like sing along moments on that record. Whereas,
Yeah.
yeah, Deja and Tanu is more like slower and a little darker. There's not as many
Hmm.
hooks. There are the hooks are there, but they're, you know, they're disguised with the
Yeah.
loudness. Yeah, great bands. I saw them a couple years ago on that arena tour, and then I saw them at Riot Fest again. Like, dude, that was a good Riot Fest, because I saw the Smoking Popes, who I love. Like, I love the Smoking Popes. I saw the Smoking Popes,
Mhm.
Motion City Soundtrack, and Brand New, like back to back, like pretty much,
Nice.
and the Descendants too, and Death Cab. So it was like,
Nice.
it was really cool.
I haven't, dude. I haven't thought of Death Cabin so long. I loved Further Seems Forever. That first record. I can't remember what it was called, but when Chris Carrabba was on in that band before they got the newer singer. Um, man, I haven't thought of some of these bands in a very long time.
Yeah, I like I actually got into Dashboard kind of late, and I really love him as a songwriter, and he's another person who I've met through Wicked Joyful. I actually made a Chris
Oh, no
Carrabba
kidding.
figure, and I sent it to him. And then I did this other thing, like I did like a card back that said "Screaming Infidelities," and that has that line, "Your hair is everywhere." Screaming
Yeah.
infidelities. So in the bubble, I just put like I cut some wig hair and I put it in the bubble,
Oh,
and
that's cool. That's cool.
whole bunch whole bunch of Dashboard fans bought that. Very thankful for that. And Chris like reached out and he's like, I need one of these too. And I was like, absolutely, dude. So I sent him that.
You talk about
Yeah.
a sing-along song where the entire that is a sing-along song where everybody's belting it out. Man.
Oh yeah. I
Man.
just listened to a couple weeks ago. I'm not a huge podcast guy. I tend to like
Mhm.
I don't necessarily follow like any one podcast, but I tend to
Yeah.
like I kind of bounce around. I'll like listen to a few episodes of this, a few episodes of that, or some, I'll get turned on by a podcast because of the guest. But I just listened to Chris from Less Than Jake's podcast, his interview with Chris Carrabba from Dashboard, because they
Oh,
kind of
nice.
broke down a song. The song, why am I? It's like, to me, it's like the quintessential Dashboard song that's not Screaming Infidelities.
Mhm.
Uh, uh,
Your hopes are so high that your kiss might
yes,
kill me. That one?
yes, yes, yes. See, you knew
Okay, I can't remember.
it.
Yeah, I don't know why we're pinging brains here. I can't remember what that one's called. Your
uh,
hopes are so high that your kiss might kill me.
hands down, hands down,
Hands down.
dude. That's like the top. That's his top song. Like
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
the dude's a legend. The dude is an amazing songwriter. I love him, and he's such a. I've only had a few interactions with him, but he seems just like such a cool dude, and like we have mutual friends.
Nice.
Um, so I'm like, that's the other thing with Wicked Joyful is I've discovered like there's people who I'm aside. I'm finding like-minded people, and I'm finding people who like I've admired forever, like admire this thing that I'm doing. So it's definitely like boosted my self-esteem, and it's self-esteem that like was kind of hurt from like years of doing stand-up and like
Hmm.
doing self relying on self-deprecating comedy, which now I'm not really doing anymore, and then also like from like being an alcoholic, it's like I don't do those things anymore. So
Right.
I've like Wicked, everything about Wicked Joyful um is I'm gonna sound like a broken record, just representative of who I am now, and
Yeah.
I'm just super grateful for it. I'm grateful that I've connected with like these cool like musicians, and then these cool YouTubers like HelloGreedo, and it's really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. It's Go ahead.
What other records? What other like? Because that's the thing I was kind of surprised like when I was reading your book, and I was like, oh
Hmm.
shit, he just has a Taking Back Sunday reference in here.
Yeah,
I
man.
was like,
When
I didn't expect that from the Stormtrooper.
Yeah, that's cool. When you reached out about that, I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So the band that I probably saw, there's probably two bands that I saw more than any, or like early 2000s. North Star,
That sounds familiar.
um, and then RX Bandits.
Oh yeah, dude. We played my old punk ska band played a couple shows with our Hispanics. The fondest.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
They
We played like a real small venue with them, and then we also played the old House of Blues in Boston when it was still in Cambridge. It was us,
Okay.
my friend Noelle's band. Noelle was in this band called Damone. And she was like a teenager, and they got signed to RCA Records, which is just like ridiculous. And
Hmm.
yeah, it was my old punk ska band, Damone and the RX Bandits.
That's badass, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and my buddies on road trips would just blast Progress and all their stuff. Just yeah, I love RX Bandits. It's been a while since I've listened to them, but um yeah, North Star, RX Bandits. I've always been like a Bright Eyes fan.
Yeah.
Uh
I had a
trying to think what
chance to
else.
see Bright Eyes like on my birthday, like
Mm,
years like 10 years ago. He was coming to Concord, New Hampshire, and my buddy Ralph is like a huge Bright Eyes fan. But you know who I got into, and it's making me appreciate Bright Eyes more. It was Phoebe Bridgers. Like I love her record.
I've heard her name thrown around. I've never listened to any of her stuff.
Yeah, I think she's great. I love, discovering new music or even music new to you. I think it
Hmm.
helps you stay young because like, people like you and I, we can talk about brand new or Weezer
Right.
like forever, but eventually like we're just gonna sound like old men, you know?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah. That's what's funny. Like all my buddies who I grew up with listening to the same music and stuff like that, they've kept up with all these bands and they listen to all this new stuff. And I'm the old man. Like I just
oh,
I haven't really kept up with things, and they're constantly talking about new shit they found. So I'm the old fucker in the group.
well, now that you know we're pals, we're besties now. I'm gonna have to send I'm gonna have to send you links, but maybe I'll just be another one of your friends who's like, "Come on,
Nope.
old man, like get into this."
Yeah. I've gotten into some. Have you heard of Pine Grove?
Yes, yes.
They're my favorite band in the past like decade or not decade, like a couple of years, but dude, I love Pine Grove.
I got into
Yeah.
Pine Grove because an old friend of mine from like the Boston scene days,
Hmm.
late '90s, early 2000s. He books a lot of bands in Boston, like a lot of really cool shows. And I remember he had been posting about Pine Grove, and I was like, oh, I'll check.
Nice.
Like pretty much anything Josh, like this dude Josh in Boston posts. Josh Smith is his name.
Yeah.
I'll like, I'll be like, okay, that's worth checking out because he's like a cool music guy, you know.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, we were on a road trip and my buddy made a playlist for like a 6-hour drive, and a Pine Grove song came on and I was like, "Who is this?" I said Pine Grove. And it made me I used to play guitar. We used to be in a band together, uh, and it made me want to pick up my guitar again because it's so pure and it sounded like something that I wanted to play. I don't know how to describe it, but
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it.
yeah.
Um, that's I mean, one of the reasons I started playing music again a few years back is like, and playing a band was like my sobriety. But at the
Mm,
same time, like I was also just I was like, I was watching my friends like still play music, and I was like, man, why did I quit? You know,
mm,
like why did I give up on that? And then I was like, I had heard a number of bands like kind of playing the type of music that I'd want to play, which was kind of like the early like my wheelhouse is definitely like power pop, pop punk, but like something that is like sounds 90s, but also could like be like early 2000s as well.
hmm.
And like that's what made me start my band Donner because like I wanted to play music like that again. Like
Right. Yeah.
I also wanted that music to exist like in a modern form with like
Right.
modern production. Cause that's one thing I listen to when I listen to like a Phoebe Bridgers record or like Billie Eilish record or
Hmm.
anything like new, right? Like anything like modern, the production I think is like just so goddamn good. And
Yeah.
like, um, so like even like the Smoking Popes were like this pop punk band from Chicago, like mid '90s. Like I love them, and got the chance to open for them pre-pandemic, which was very surreal. But like they put out a new record last year, and like it's the songs sound like a Smoking Popes song that could have came out in 1996, but
Right.
the production is just more modern, so it just like sounds better, and
Hmm.
that's something that's the other good thing about like I think discovering new music is like the quality is better. People say like, oh, new music's not good, but it's like I think it's all good even if I'm
Yeah.
not totally into it. Like
Yeah. You
music's
also have to kind of hunt for things. You can't just blanket statement new music is no good. There's a lot of good shit out there.
right,
You know, like,
right, but don't we
do some digging.
like don't we hear that like when people say like anything like dude that's the thing that bothers me about people bitching about the new Star Wars stuff when they're just like,
Yeah.
the older stuff's better. It's like Is it? I mean, yeah, you like it more for like so many different reasons, but like it's not
Hmm.
worth it to write off
Right.
stuff because it's like you don't get it or you don't like it. Like
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
I
never
I I'm not going to watch I don't know anybody on the VMAs. Well, it's not for you, motherfucker.
Dude,
Like
I know, dude, I'm not on Facebook. That's one of the reasons, honestly, that's one of the reasons why I got off Facebook was because I was sick of like seeing people I went to high school with saying like, I'm watching the VMAs. I don't know who they are. It's like, well
Yeah.
then who the fuck are you? Like
Right,
you like
right.
are you a tastemaker? Like
Yeah.
I don't know who they are. Well, geez, you must. What are you important? It's like, well, no,
Right.
but now you do because you're watching this thing. I think
Yeah.
people get like maybe people are scared by discovery and
Mm.
they just want familiar. I want to
That's
experience.
probably true.
You know, I've listened to Pinkerton a million times. I'll put that record on any day of the week. I've watched A New Hope a million times. I'll put it on
Mm.
any day of the week. But you know what's great? Discovering something new and being fascinated by it and learning something.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
absolutely. You mentioned Billie Eilish like maybe a year ago. Me and my wife discovered her. You know, I don't know where we first heard her, but like we were like, this is fucking great, and we had no idea who it was, where we heard it, but I mean, it's great. She's
it's
great.
her and her brother are just so talented and
Yeah.
I heard that record. I didn't know anything about her. I didn't know nothing about her. I didn't see a video. I didn't know anything.
Mm.
And my band had just we were wrapping we kind of were about to finish like um the first session for our second record, which we're putting out new music very soon and then we're putting out a full length maybe towards the end of the year. So
Nice.
like we were working on that like that album dropped. And I was driving home from the studio super late on like a Friday night, like super late into Saturday morning, and I just went to Apple Music and it was at the top, and I just hit play, and I was just like, "What the fuck is this?" And like I have I drive a Volkswagen Beetle,
Hmm.
and it's got like a really good like Fender audio system in it, and
Nice.
uh I love my. I'm not a car guy. I drive a Beetle and I love it. And
Hmm.
Star Wars. There's a Star Wars vanity plate on there, by the way.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
hell yeah. And I just remember driving late at night, and I was so the production of that record grabbed me. It was the production, and then because of how it sounded, and because it didn't quite sound like things that I was like used to,
Hmm.
then I started like tuning into the songwriting. And I think her voice is so cool because it sounds so classic and like
Yeah.
almost, but also new. And therefore, it seems timeless.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was. I just think it's a great album, and I got into it. And then Phoebe Bridgers, I got into uh, because actually I got into it because the cover record was so close. The cover of the album Punisher, it was so close to the idea I had for my band's record. And I was bothered.
Oh, the cover itself.
The cover itself was nearly
Ah.
identical to the idea I had for my band's record.
Oh,
That
I'm looking at it right now. A long exposure
yes,
picture.
it's a
Ah.
long exposure picture with a single person with her
Ah.
in front of this like mountain kind of landscape like late at night.
Mhm.
And I had this vision and I was like, "Oh, damn." And it was like that record was getting a bunch of press and I was like, oh, that's kind of what I visioned something so close to that for like our record. I guess we can't
Mhm.
do it now because this record's like blowing up. And then I listened to it and I was like, I love this album. uh, but her stuff is great, and she uh, she has a band with Bright Eyes, and he helped like discover her.
Yeah, I what is that called? Let me see. Bright Eyes.
Better Oblivion Community
Yes.
Center. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yep. Yeah. I've listened to a little bit of that. Not too much. Man, I think Conor Oberst is one of the best songwriters uh, of my generation. Well, I guess he's a little older, but yeah.
No, but that probably hit you at a time when like you and your friends were like going to shows and like at a time
Yeah, for
early to
sure, for
early
sure.
2000s or not early, but like late aughts, right?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
Is that what
yeah.
people say? Aughts, the aughts for
I don't know.
the zeros.
I yeah, I'm trying to think when I first it's been a very, very long time. Just always been there. Yeah, Fevers and Mirrors, so that was 2000. Okay. Crazy. God, time
Yeah,
flies.
I gotta appreciate. I want to get a little bit more into Bright Eyes because he has songs that I like, but I never like have
Mhm.
done a deep dive. And that's
Yeah.
kind of, I should know Bright Eyes inside and out just because of my age, because of like, I listen to Death Cab, I listen to this,
Mhm.
that should have lined up more. But I just knew of him through like my buddy Ralph's fandom.
Mhm.
But now that I've gotten into Phoebe Bridgers, I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I should go back and like check out more Bright Eyes records.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Like, well, that's kind of similar with me and Cursive. I don't know if you ever listen to Cursive, but my friends are so into Cursive, and for whatever reason, it just completely passed me by. And I should have been right there with them in the car, but I don't remember ever listening to Cursive, and they're so into Cursive. It's weird.
Well, I think I missed out on stuff because when I was young, and we kind of talked about it earlier, where it's like,
Hmm.
oh, I like the old stuff, or I like this. Like, there was a time in my life when I was just like, I had this conversation with an old bandmate of mine. I was like, why didn't we like stuff more? And he laughed. He was like, because we were just trying to be so punk. And I was like,
Ah,
right. So like we'd write stuff off where it was like, oh yeah, you know, these like, you know, people love this band. Like I'm not into it, that sort of thing. It's
right,
like,
right,
why
right.
not? Like I don't know if I sound like an old man. I don't know if I sound like, what is it? Steve Buscemi, when he's like on, I guess that scene on 30 Rock or something where he's like, "Hey, what's up, fellow kids?"
Oh, right, right.
Like when I say I like Billie Eilish or Phoebe Bridgers, I hope I don't seem like Steve Buscemi in that. But I mean, I just like music. I never want to be how I used to be, where I was like stubborn, where I was like, oh, I don't
Yeah.
like that. It's not punk enough, or it's not this enough, or
Yep.
that band's associated
Absolutely.
with this band and I don't like that band. So, it's so silly.
Right.
It's like that's the thing. That's another thing. I hope the pandemic has given people an opportunity to like learn to enjoy things more.
Mm.
Just like enjoy. Just like try to find something good in art or entertainment that like that might make you either appreciate something more or like lead you into the direction of discovering something that you may like.
Right. It's also, I think it's had the inverse reaction too, where people, it's made people bitch and moan more about like meaningless bullshit. Like more time online. And if you go down a YouTube rabbit hole long enough, you're going to find some assholes with some assholey things to say. And then your algorithm is just going to point you in more asshole directions,
Yeah,
unfortunately. But,
yeah. I
uh,
want to. I hope. I just and maybe I kind of turned. I hit a. I'm in my 40s now, which is like
mhm.
is crazy. Like I'm in my 40s, and I could very well have less time in front of me than more time I have behind me. Like I don't know. I mean,
Mm.
we all could,
Right,
but
right.
as I enter like deeper into middle age, like that's going to become more apparent where it's like, oh wow, I
Mhm.
definitely have less time in front of me than I do behind me. So, um, I should probably just like focus more on what matters most and like what makes
Right.
me happier most and what better I can do for the greatest number of people.
Yeah. And
And
what
also
doesn't bring stress to you because
what does
stress kills.
yeah. Well,
Mm.
yeah, and from January until if someone's listening to this who already does follow Wicked Joyful on Instagram,
Mhm.
follows me there, like, there's definitely moments where I don't post anything, and it's not that I'm not working on something. I could very well be working on something, but it's just taking me longer because from January until the last week of March, I was at my day job. I was working 65 hours a week. So
Damn.
I was just like out straight. And when I did have free time, like I was just fried. Like I really just tried to like relax or like
Well,
not do
that's
anything.
also kind of a part of the charm of Wicked Joyful too, because you can tell. I mean, you're not just pumping shit out constantly. You know what I mean? Um, it's like when you post something new, it's something that I personally get excited for. Like, oh shit, I'm a Gruber. And when you posted that little tease of whose feet are going to be glowing in the dark, I was like, that was a fun little game. You know, I was gonna guess, but I was so wildly off. I was
Yeah,
just gonna wait for the answer.
well, that was the thing. That's the thing too. Is like, again, like I'm not the and the answer to the glow in the dark feat was there's this TikTok dancer
Hmm.
Kelladactyl, and like she's I don't know, she's like all over my. Maybe it's because like my brother's a dancer and my future sister-in-law is like. I
Hmm.
also just like really like dance like because of
Yeah.
that, you know. I like watching people perform
Do
and
you
like
like musicals and movies like that?
yeah, I appreciate I like I mean, there's some musicals I really like, and, like, I
Hmm.
really when my brother was in, the touring company of Moving Out, which is, like, the Billy Joel musical,
Oh,
which was
yeah.
cool, and then, he was also in the touring company of Billy Elliot, which is kind of like
Huh.
his story in a way, because I don't know if you're familiar with Billy Elliot, but it takes place in Ireland, and it's about this boy who, like, wants to dance, and there are people who like assume about this little boy. They're assuming, they're saying like, you can't dance when you a poof, let's they say in there. And like
Hmm.
Patrick's been dancing his whole life, and like you know so when he got cast in Billy when he got the Billy Elliot tour, he wasn't cast as Billy because it's like a child's role, but like he was like part of
Right.
the ensemble cast. That was an amazing show, and it was cool to me because it was like kind of Patrick's story. So like, I don't
Hmm.
like listen to musicals, but I definitely love any chance I've gotten to see my brother perform or any of his friends perform. Like I'm so down, and like I'm down for all that. Like I love just performance and entertainment. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
especially live. Like and I've seen
Right.
some great shows. Like I saw man, what else? I saw Jersey Boys. One of his buddies was in a touring cast, and Patrick was around, so we
Oh,
actually went
nice.
and saw Jersey Boys. It was really fun, which I didn't realize was so vulgar. Like, it
I've never
was,
seen it. Yeah.
yeah, it's a fun watch. Like, it's just like it's kind of crass. Like, they're swearing and there's people,
Hmm.
there's guns. Like, I didn't realize that. It's like it's really good. So the glow in the dark feet action figure I did Calidactyl because she's this TikTok dancer, and like she's one of those like people on Instagram when they pop up, like I can't, I have to watch like 5 of their videos, you know?
Interesting. Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
And also like, so I just liked her, and I was like, I hadn't done like a TikTok personality. And when are you going to see a TikToker as like an action figure? So I was like,
Right.
I got to do that. Like, so, and she's a dancer. So I was like, I'm going to make her feet glow in the dark. Like, that's kind of
That's
cool.
so cool. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But that is the charm of it, man. That is the charm. Is I mean, people you would never think. I mean, I'm scrolling through your Instagram right now. Big. Oh, nice. We just got it was my daughter's birthday on Saturday. We just got her like a big ass floor piano.
Oh, nice.
So yeah. So I've been turning down the volume of that damn thing because it is super loud. Um uh but yeah, they're just so unique.
Yeah.
Vanilla Isis, I gotta love it.
Yeah. Yeah, that one, you know what? When I posted the Vanilla Isis one, I was kind of like, because I don't like, look, that's biting social commentary.
Hmm.
I don't want to turn people off, but at the same time, like, hey man, my thing's about positivity and like,
Yeah.
so um I posted that, and I might have lost a follower or two, but at the same time, like, I'm finding my people. So I found some like-minded
Yeah.
people, and people shared that, and that's what it's all about. And like,
And if somebody can't take a joke,
yeah,
come the fuck on.
you got it.
God.
Yeah, and like if you look at these action figures too, I mean, we touched on it earlier, but I have an authentic Toys R Us price gun. Those are real price tags; they're not photoshopped. And I'll always try to insert like funny references like in the price tag. So, and
Yep,
I'll
1138 was on Bill was on Burr.
yep. So folks should know what that is, especially if
Yep.
you're. And then sometimes it's just kind of subtle, like with the Happy Gilmore one. I made, the price. It's kind of hard to say. It says
Let's see.
1996. That was the
Okay.
year the movie came out. So I'll do stuff
Gotcha.
like that. Um, Often I'll do that. And then I commissioned one for one of the actors from Cobra Kai, um, Barrett, who plays a young Kreese in the third season of Cobra Kai,
Okay.
and I put his birth date in there, which is
Ah.
September
Let's see.
22nd, 92. So like the store number, the ID is 922
Oh, I see.
92. So I'll try to insert
Oh,
that. And then 1968 was like the year, like the character was the flashback in Cobra Kai.
gotcha.
So I try to do that.
That's fucking clever, man.
But yeah, and I've got more things coming, especially now that I'm casting and making molds and casting and then also like if you follow me and like you have an idea, if you're like, "Hey, have you ever thought of this?" Like I'm all ears. Like I'll listen. Like that's actually happened a couple times. Actually, I should say this.
What?
It happens a lot, but only a couple times I've been like, "Oh wow. Okay, let's do that."
Yeah.
Um
What's so with like I'm sure you get a lot of ideas that are maybe too maybe mainstream isn't the word, but too popular. Does that make sense?
yeah.
What is your selection process like? Like how yeah.
Well, here's like when you say too popular, like the subject
Yep.
matters like
R-
oversaturated.
Yeah, or like I mean something like Happy Gilmore or Big, right? That I think you did those because you love those movies.
Yes.
And is that kind of usually the main kind of direction that
The
where you're yeah.
I try not to make something I don't like, which
Mhm.
like doing the commissions is very hard for me because like I don't know the person. So like I have to like
Gotcha.
specifically like if you're like, "Hey, I want to make this for my boyfriend or girlfriend or family member, whatever it is." Like
Mhm.
it's going to be hard because like I need to know so much about that person or like they have to find the humor because like I try to insert humor on the card art, like that's part of
Right,
my
right.
charm, that's part of like my brand, my style, whatever. So like they got to be so specific with that. And then there's certain things like a lot of people have made like I'm trying to think of one that like I made. If someone made a Spaceballs one, like
Mhm.
okay, like other people have done Dark Helmet, they've done it so well. Like
Right.
what can I make? Someone has made Barf, so it's like who can I make? And I was like, oh, I was out thrifting and I found this action figure where the helmet looked so much like the radar tech, the Winslow, who does the sound effect
The
guy,
yeah, yeah.
the bleeps, the creeps, and the sweeps.
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh, if I'm gonna do a Spaceballs figure, like I gotta do the radar technician. And so like that was I just try to go deeper. Like if it's a movie, I
Yeah.
try to go as deep as I can or like as bizarre as I can. Then there's certain ones that I've made. I'm like, wow, I'm surprised no one else has done this yet. Like the Wet Hot
Yeah.
American Summer one. Like,
I'm curious, like, you know who Wilro Hood is?
no, who's that?
Wilro Hood. Um, it's just this kind of like cult. Oh, I guess there is an official. Ah, well, that sucks. I'm gonna put it in the chat. I don't know if you can actually see this. Maybe that's not a good. I'm gonna. I'm sitting here giving you stupid ideas. It's just like this cult
Oh,
classic
did I lose
character
her?
who runs by the screen for like a split second in The Empire Strikes Back. He's the ice cream maker guy. I don't know if you're, yeah, familiar with him.
Oh, okay.
Um, but I just that came to mind for like a really niche Star Wars figure. But
Yeah,
man,
I'd like to. I definitely have the other Star Wars ones I've done too. I did like Peter Mayhew, Chewbacca with the mask off.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh, I haven't seen that. Okay,
you haven't seen that one?
I don't think so.
That was one of my earlier ones too. Here, I'll send it to you right now.
Okay.
There you go. Um, and then like pop culture stuff, like I really wanted to do a Cardi B one. Again, I probably sound like an old hey kid, you like Cardi B? I really want to do Cardi B. I just like how outspoken Cardi B is. Like I think she's
hmm
awesome. And um and I knew I was gonna make her, but I knew like when WAP came out, um, I was like, oh shit, I got to do a bucket and a mop, like, which if you don't know that song, it's a lyric in the
Right.
song implying that a woman is so wet, you need a bucket and a mop. But I was like, oh, I had like these miniature like mops and buckets. I'm like, okay, I'll make the
Mm,
card art with her and Megan the Stallion, and put a little bucket and mop in there, and see that too, like, I don't know, like making that stuff just I giggled the whole time. Like when I was
right.
gluing it down, and then like I posted it, and like a few people wanted them, so I made a handful for a few people, and people loved them.
Do you see Wicked Joyful? Like, where do you see it? Do you anticipate this, or do you want it to be a full-time like main gig, or do you want to keep it kind of like a side project?
I I I just want to keep doing it, man. I want
Yeah.
to keep doing it. I want to find my people.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I want to start a cult. Um, if I can have, if I really admire what you've built for yourself. I think it's awesome, and if I can kind of build up similar where people are following me, people are buying my stuff, people are checking out
Yeah.
like the other merch that my friend Yosef and I have created with like the cool illustrations, and we've got shirts, and uh, you know the way that I kind of visioned this was like, okay, well, like I want to share my art and find my people. And at some point in my life, I'd love to have a shop that um, I can sell my art, I can sell other people's art, and I can sell vintage or neo vintage goods, right? And have
hmm
this cool shop, whether that's vinyl or like cool like screen printed posters to hang, or like you know new like or like greeting cards, just like cool stuff, like
Yeah.
a shop you walk in and you're just like, oh my god, and like nostalgia is a part of it, but the other part of it is just like it's obviously a space and a shop that um, builds community.
Right.
I'd like to build community, and like it's cool to do that online, but I'd like to think that like post pandemic, or even like if we're in this pandemic forever, like I do think people will want places to physically go and maybe find like minded people.
hmm
And like if I can have a shop that's kind of like that, I think it's something people desire and will want. And that's what I see. That's ultimately what I see Wicked Joyful becoming. But I know I have to build this online. I need to start by building the community online, and then just to sort of what I've started doing, and I'll be doing this Saturday. And I know you've been super cool about resharing stuff. Like I'm so thankful that you're in.
Yeah.
You,
Absolutely, man.
dude, you're part of the joyful loyal. I love it. Like it's so cool, man. Um, and uh, I started leasing this space in my hometowns. There's this million. I live in Manchester, New Hampshire,
Hmm.
and it's where Adam Sandler's from. We talked about that. I think we talked about that earlier. No,
A little bit. Yeah.
we did. Yeah. So Adam Sandler is like from my hometown. We went to the same high school together, just many years apart, or several years apart.
Mm.
And so we're 51 miles north of Boston. There's a mill yard. I rent this space, and it's not big, but it's where I do most of my figure making out of now. And I have it set up like a shop, so it's my studio that I can open like regularly as like a pop-up shop. So this Saturday is the first one, and I'm selling figures that I haven't even put online yet. And I
Damn.
have my t-shirts, and I have my my merch. Then I also have like vintage. I've got vintage action figures for sale. I've got like stuff that I've VHS tapes, like stuff that I've just like thrifted or like found or like stuff from my vault that mixed in with my stuff. And the way I'll send you some photos. I think you'd get a
Yeah.
kick out of it. Like I want people to like see what that feels like. And so far I've gotten, a dozen or 2 dozen people that said they're going to stop by, like with friends. And I want people to walk in and be like, wow, like this is
Yeah.
cool. This is cool. And like, just feel something and maybe have a little experience. Obviously people are going to be masked up, covering their nose and mouth. That's huge with me.
Yeah.
And I, sky's the limit, but let's see what happens. Let's see if we can build community online and go from there. And if I keep meeting the HelloGreedos of the world, or just people who, also just have,
Like,
people,
get it.
yeah, people that have this
Yeah.
spark, man, people that have the same energy. I want to find these people. Like I know you're listening. I know you made it through an hour and 20 minutes of two like middle-aged or close to middle-aged men, talking Star Wars, talking like, talking about dad rock or whatever. Like I get
It's
it.
weird, right? Dad rock. Holy shit, this
I
music
know.
is like 20 plus years old.
Yeah, I know. It's like I joke and I tell people, I'm like, oh, my band is dad rock, but written by fun uncles. Like that's what I was like.
Nice.
But one of us is a dad now, so it's like, okay, shit, maybe we're dad rock. And he's arguably the most talented one in the band, but
That sounds like a dream, man. Like I can't, like, it's have you had so much fun kind of putting together the studio, the space, like making it just, I don't know, come to life? I'm sure you seem like a very details oriented
dude, you
guy.
know what?
Have you just kind of
Yes.
like
So you and I, what's funny is like the room I'm in now, like, so I was in a fortunate position. I bought a house a couple years ago. I bought my first
nice.
home. I was 35, 34. It's very modest. I worked really hard in this career I've had fortunate enough to have for 16 years now. Like,
Nice.
I'm not rolling in the dough. What I'm trying to imply is like I'm not rolling in the dough by making custom action figures. Like, so.
Yeah.
But I have a office / guest bedroom at my house, and like I recently just like cleaned it because I was setting up the Wicked Joyful studio down in the mill yard. So like I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna have like my office back, like to be like an actual office and not like a graveyard of action figure parts. But I was watching your YouTube videos and I was watching like how you're kind of like minimalist and how you like set things up, like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, I need to figure out how to be a little bit more like that, because this other room I have in my house, it's like a glorified like Three Seasons porch that you can use year round. And in that room, it's like a nostalgia explosion. Like it's when people come over, or visited, or stay with me for a few days or something, like they just lose their mind when they go in this room, because I have a Burger Time arcade machine in there and a Miss Pac-Man machine, and then I have like.
Is there a giant ET in there too?
So there's like a giant like ET like cutout from like a Reese's like promotion on top of the Burger Time.
Gotcha.
Machine. So
I think I watched a. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you watched the video. So
Can you hear me?
if you go to my Instagram, yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yep, I can. A little delayed. You're good.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, if you go to my Instagram and you Wicked Joyful, and you look at like my whatever those are called, stories or highlights, there's a ABC TV clip from that was done by the local affiliate here in New Hampshire. You can see my I call it my nerd cave, but it's got a bunch of Star Wars toys, Masters Universe, and that was from last year. Now it's like even more so. Like it's blown up in there, and like cassettes from 90s bands like mounted to the wall, Pee-wee's Playhouse, Castle Grayskull. Like
Nice.
It's just like 27-inch Sony TV I found on the side of the road, which like works perfectly, or 32-inch. It's amazing. And I have a VHS deck and a Laserdisc deck hooked up to that. So like, I know people like to have like VHS tapes and stuff like on display. It's like, well, I can actually watch them in my nerd cave. Like And
That's awesome.
I've got quite the library of like VHS and Laserdisc. Like
I probably haven't owned a VHS player in, I'm gonna say 20 years, maybe, is the last time that I've had a VHS player.
yeah, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I've got it. It's all good to go.
That's kind of another weird, like, I feel like our generation maybe, well, I don't know. I don't know anything about generations. Are we from the same generation, or how the hell does that work?
So I guess technically, like, I'm an elder millennial or like
Okay.
young Gen
Okay.
X, but like um, I think I'm closer to like, yeah, I'm an elder millennial. You probably are.
Okay.
You probably are too. How old are you now?
34. I'll be 35 in a couple
So
weeks.
you're like definitely a millennial.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're definitely a
Yeah.
millennial. I'm an elder millennial.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah,
But it's interesting. Like, I feel like my generation, probably yours, collects like vinyl.
yes,
And then there's a younger generation now that I see collecting cassette tapes.
yeah.
It's really interesting.
Well,
And I remember telling my dad, like, yeah, people are my friends and stuff would collect vinyl. And he's like, why? And I think the same thing when I hear kids are collecting cassette tapes. I'm like, why?
yeah. I mean, I started doing it. I have like, I'm big on physical media. I know you are
Hmm.
like, I was like, I think you did a video on just like your setup, about having like kind of less stuff and like,
I used to be really, it took a while for me to kind of like get, not be into physical media. I used to only buy movies like physically and video games and stuff like that, and books was like the last thing that I went digital. um but yeah, it took a while.
yeah, I like the idea of physical media. I'm kind of freaked out by, and also like working in media.
Hmm.
Um, I'm just kind of freaked out that like eventually everything is going to be behind some kind of paywall.
Yeah.
And so like, and I have the space, like I have a house, like I have the space. I just have to be a little bit cautious because like when I got the space for Wicked Joyful, I was kind of like, oh my God, I've accumulated so much stuff. Like I don't like I is it hoarding? You know what I mean? Like I was like, is this hoarding? And it's like, no, because like I'd sell most of it anyway. Like I think I'd sell about 80% of my possessions anyway. So
Oh, nice.
I could probably let go of 80% of this stuff. There's a certain thing I know, and I know exactly what stuff I'd hang on to. So I'm like, okay, I'm not a hoarder,
Hmm.
but I do like worry about the day where it has had to happen to you, where you're like, oh, I really want to watch this thing, and it's like, oh, the streaming service you subscribe to, none of them have it.
Yep.
Okay, well I can go to Amazon and I can rent it
Absolutely.
for $4. That might be good. That might be a good option, but there's gonna come a day when it ain't on there. And
Right. I've actually, what I've done, eBay is my friend. Like, I got we wanted to watch Minority Report because my wife had never seen it. And no streaming service had it, and I bought the Blu-ray used for like $3 on eBay. So like,
yep,
I've been doing that so much with movies that aren't on anything, or even like used video games, like $5
yeah.
for a Metal Gear Solid video game or something like that.
So
But I do that a lot.
what do you do afterward? Like, let's say, so you and your wife
It
got Minority Report. Do you just bring the good Blu-ray to Goodwill or like Savers or stuff?
I should, but it just ends up in a big plastic bin with all of my other shit.
Okay, so yeah, so your place is looking sleek. You got the minimalist, but there are bins somewhere in that house of yours where you have the
In the
stuff.
attic,
You
there's
got to have this.
yeah, oh yeah, trust me, yeah. Yeah, there's
Okay,
I have multiple bins of books and VHSs and DVDs up in the attic, yeah. That they're
gotcha.
just,
All right.
things that I can't get rid of. And yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely having the space for like Wicked Joyful stuff too. Plus the other thing too is having that space now too. I'm taking some things that I know, like, okay, I don't necessarily like, there's some things where it's just like, I don't necessarily need 4 copies of Back to the Future trilogy on VHS. Why don't I take 2 of these to the Wicked Joyful studio, the shop, and maybe when I do my next pop up, like someone will want to buy these for a few bucks. And like,
Yeah.
it's like that thing I kind of like. And like, but I also think that imagine this, like, let's say you're in your hometown, and I have a general sense for where you live. You do live in Florida, right? You live in
Yeah. I live in like St. Augustine, Jacksonville, Florida, around there.
So,
Yep.
like, I bet if you had a shop in your town that like had physical media and like cool vintage stuff, and like also the guy who owned it sold custom action figures and work by other artists, and like that, you know, maybe you'd be like, oh, we want to see that movie. Let's swing by Wicked Joyful, you know, and like see if they've got it on Blu-ray. Like, I don't know. I'd like to have that kind of. I'd like to be that shop for some, you know. And I think the city that I live in like desperately needs retail like that. Like we don't have like our downtown. We don't have retail. It's a lot of great restaurants and great bars, but like there's no retail down there. Whereas like there's other places in New England, like Burlington, Vermont, and Portland, Maine, has cool retail spaces like that.
Okay.
Whereas we don't have those here.
There's a really awesome place in Savannah, Georgia called Planet Fun. And it's got, I mean, you can look it up on Instagram. I've been there a bunch, but every time I go, I have to pick up a figure or something like that. It is just wall to wall shit from the 90s that we all played with. And it's whenever I walk into that store, Planet Fun, it's hard to explain. It's probably how people will feel when they walk into your shop. Like, where else can I get other than online?
That's what I'm hoping.
Where else can I walk in and see where else can I walk in and see like 100 Power of the Force 90s Star Wars figures in the box on the wall? I love that place so much. But
I'm looking at their Instagram right now.
Yeah, Planet
Very
Fun.
cool. Yeah, we have
great.
We do have a place in Goffstown, New Hampshire, and they're also featured in that clip that I mentioned earlier.
Oh, okay.
Called Finders Seekers, and you can find them on Instagram. I think on Instagram they're Seekers Finds. There they are, Finders.Seeker.
Okay.
And they sell like vintage toys. In fact, I actually get a lot of my like parts by going there.
Oh, nice.
Digging.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's run by a
awesome.
small family. They just had a new baby, so they're definitely worth checking out. And they definitely have an Etsy shop, so you can
oh, cool,
find some stuff online. So if you're looking to support local biz, Finders.Seeker, Goffstown, New Hampshire, and they have like vintage, actually, and their prices too. Like if you're looking for like vintage Star Wars stuff, they'll probably do you prices better than what you'd find on eBay. And
nice, yeah.
Sarah Beth and her husband are really quick to ship stuff, and they're just really great people. They actually have the Bill Burr figure on display in their shop right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How cool, man. I see embroidery. I got a buddy who does these embroidery things too. I still don't understand how the hell he does it. You do that too, though, right?
I don't actually sold Sarah Beth's. I sold the Bernie.
Oh, okay. The Bernie one, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
It's kind of like the original 8-bit art, you know, like, or pixel art.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of the original.
For sure. Oh my God, I see a Max Rebo action figure.
Yeah,
this is awesome.
If you're actually like looking for something in particular too, like, don't hesitate to hit me up, man.
Yeah.
You've inspired me. You're the man.
I like it's funny. I have so many Star Wars figures, but the ones that I have on display, I bought a couple years ago. It's not, you know what I mean? You would think that I would put out the ones that I played with as a kid, but I kind of like the ones that I have out better. I don't know.
I should have said this from the top. If there's someone who's listening and like they just have like a bunch of like broken action figure parts sitting in a box at their parents' house. Like they could send them to me.
Yeah.
I'll pay for shipping.
Nice.
I'll probably throw a couple extra bucks because that's something. Especially what I'm desperately looking for is like 3.25 inch size action figure. So you know, typical classic Star Wars style size, like,
Mm-hmm.
but like women's hair, like long hair. I don't want to say women's hairstyle, but like
Huh.
I need
Right.
I need long haired action
Okay.
figureheads.
I'll have to, I know I have boxes of all of my old figures, and I was gonna get them down for my daughter soon. I can take a look. I'm trying to think. Most of mine are Ninja Turtles and GI Joes, and yeah, that's about it.
I actually just got a bunch of Ninja Turtles, and I got the sewer playset too.
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah. I uh, I had the pizza thrower,
Oh
the
yeah,
the van. Hell yeah, man.
we learned so much tonight.
I just want to, yeah, I'm just gonna go down a rabbit hole of old figures and stuff like that. I have a bad habit of, maybe you do too, of like last night or when I was riding in the back of an ambulance, I sent you a little message, and as soon as I sent that to you, I went on eBay and I found a vintage 1980s Atlanta Braves T-shirt, and I bought it. I have a bad habit of just like bidding and buying shit on eBay that's like $5 because I have like $5 in PayPal, you know? So I'll
Yep,
just like buy a gonk droid. I don't know. Like
yep. I do the same, dude. I do this. Is this our age? Like I'll do the
I
same thing.
I think so.
And every time I go, this is my thought behind it. Every time I buy something like that, I go, well, like if I spend like $20 on like, you know, buying I'm looking at my recent purchases. Hang on. Hang on.
I'll
Oh
do the
yeah,
same.
yeah, yeah. I spent $37 on Ren and Stimpy plush dolls, like still in the
Nice.
package. And I was like, well, I used to spend that much on beer. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
Yeah.
well,
Yep.
I used to drink that, you know?
Absolutely.
But at some point, it's like, yeah, but do I really need the Ren and Stimpy plush dolls from
Nope.
1992? I mean, I guess I do. I think I do. Oh, here's one. I bought a vintage 19 is $4. Vintage 1991 Starlog magazine with Bill
Ooh,
and Ted Bogus Journey on the cover. I was like, yeah, I need that.
nice.
I need that.
Nice. Dude, I used to make videos where I would, because all the Starlog magazines are archived online, and I would just flip through them and make videos about like when they were talking about the original Star Wars movies or the prequels and stuff like that, just to kind of like almost jump into a time machine and see what people were talking about, because they also have like the you can write into the editor portion,
Right.
so like I would read what people were saying in 1979 before the Empire Strikes Back came out, and their like predictions and shit like that. It's fun, man.
Oh, that's super fun.
Yeah.
I got to do that. Here's a
Yeah, they're
purchase I
all
made.
archived.
I didn't know, we were just kind of talking about this. I really like Beck, right? And
Hmm.
I had I had his albums. I had his first few albums on cassette, but I didn't like. I had Mellow Gold, Odelay, One Foot in the Grave. I didn't have Midnight Vultures, and I was like, damn, I need that. And like, it was always super expensive when it came up, but this came up. It was like Beck, Midnight Vultures. It was UK. It was only $14 shipped. I didn't even know if I was going to get it because it was coming from the UK. And I
Yeah.
was like, screw it. And I bought it. And it came. Like, it arrived.
Nice.
Yeah. I was like, all right.
Nice. I've sold. There's one thing that I've sold, talking about music, on eBay. I sold a rare blue vinyl of Your Favorite Weapon, brand new, and I bought this vinyl probably when it came. I mean, obviously when it came out, and it had just sat in a box for years. And I opened the box and I sold it for like $300.
Yeah,
Like,
was that from
it's crazy.
Was it from Iodine Records?
I don't. Let's see. Blue. I really don't remember. Vinyl. Your favorite weapon. It's been. That was probably 6 or 7 years ago. It's been a while.
Because my friend, my buddy Ralph, who's a big Brand New fan, he did it have, was it the original cover with like the chest piece on it?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, dude, you could have, wow, you should have hung on a bit
Yeah.
longer.
Yeah, probably. But it was like I sold it. I think I sold it for like $300, something like that. But
Yeah, that's like that's been kind of the blue translucent. Yeah, there was 500 of them. But that's first pressing, man.
Yep. I needed the cash at the time.
Oh wait, well, was it light blue or was it?
It was like
Blue
exactly like this picture right here. Let's see. Exactly like, well, I don't know if that is going to send. Forbidden link, seriously? Stupid. Brand new. Let's see if I can upload this picture. Yeah, it was exactly like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was probably the first pressing.
Yeah. Yep, I remember getting it.
Yeah, that's kind of like a I think that's kind of like a white, like a grail for my buddy. And I feel like he just mentioned to me, like, he's like, yeah, if I'm gonna this is fun. So they're just talking to old men, listening to old men talk about the pop punk bands of yesteryear.
Hell yeah, man.
And the
like, yeah. Hell yeah. But yeah, we'll have to do this again. This was fun, man.
Yeah, anytime, dude. Anytime. This was super cool, and
yeah,
we've gotten to know each other more, and people
absolutely
maybe a couple dozen people will listen to us get to know each other more.
Yeah.
And
have you ever thought about doing a YouTube channel and with kind of showing the process of making action figures and stuff like that? Or
yeah, so I've been asked to do that, and I just want to, we were having a conversation before we started this. Like, I really get a kick out of the fact that I have an online presence now that's just Wicked Joyful. No one knows your name. You wear a mask.
Right.
I didn't for the creative pursuits that I had before Wicked Joyful, like, I didn't kind of have that, I look at it as a luxury. Like, it's something I'm like envious of you for having.
Because the anonymity of it,
dude. I'm jealous of it, and and it's like I'm trying to do that with. I don't want someone to follow Wicked Joyful and like for it to be just like my face. I don't want to be the face of Wicked Joyful. Like, I want I want like my artwork, and then the people who like the community that I'm building to be the face of Wicked Joyful. I really want to see this as like a community thing, like celebrating positive stuff, but it's like brought together by like my personality, these things I'm creating, right? So like if I were to do a YouTube channel and like show things being created, like, how do I do that with, I guess it's something I really have to do a deep dive and like really think about it. And nowadays, like, you've had your channel for a while. You've done a fantastic job with it. Things look great, sound great. You got your followers, you get your subscribers. It's awesome. you know, like I keep hearing like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, especially like during the pandemic, it was like, well, I
Mm.
think I'm, you know, people would say like, now's the perfect time for me to do the podcast, and it's like, is it? Because everyone seems to like be doing a podcast now, so
Right.
I need to figure out. I'd love to do a YouTube channel, but I just would need to figure out like what my angle is, and
Yeah,
I
that's
can't
true.
I can't just, you know, you have to develop a voice. You've developed a voice, and it's awesome. And like, you know, in comedy, like stand up world, it's like people take years to develop a voice, and maybe by the time they do it, they don't like it anymore, and then they have to
Sure.
change or adapt or evolve, and you're kind of seeing that happen in real time, like people changing and adapt. I just don't know what the angle I'd come at it with. If maybe if you like what I've had to say with Greedo here, then like message me and give me a little bit of encouragement, or like what, you know, what you'd want to see from Wicked Joyful. Like, do you want to see action figure creation? Do you want to see me talking about, is it just like the process of creating it, or do you want me to talk
Mm.
about why I chose to make the piece? Do you want to see like the figures, the parts I used to create the piece? Like,
Right.
I don't know. And like, I don't know personally what satisfaction I'd get, you know, get the most out of.
And also I don't know if this is true, but do you get some satisfaction out of like a little bit of alone time and solitude when you put the thing together? Like you wouldn't want to have to fucking worry about a camera and the right camera angle. You just want to build the thing, right?
You nailed it. So like
Yeah.
every time someone has said like, I want to see you make this, I have
Hmm.
said, but that means I'd have to set up a cameras to do it.
Right.
And they're like, just do a time lapse. And then I go, that's no fun for me.
Hmm.
So like I need to find like the perfect like middle of like, okay, I can easily set up cameras, and then I also have like a camera to maybe talk to, and then maybe I cut it up that
Hmm.
way, so that way it almost feels live. You know what I mean? Like it
Right.
almost feels
Right.
live. But I do have like the process of making them does become meditative. Like I do
Yeah.
kind of get into the zone. I might have a movie on in the background, but I'm not watching it, or like music playing, but I'm not quite listening
Right.
to it. Especially when I'm painting, like that to me is like I gotta pay
Mm.
attention. Um,
Right.
but we'll see. We'll see. I'm aside from like potentially making a new variant of the Space Boston Billy, which I'm hoping if folks follow me, you know, they get a chance at grabbing one, because I've gotten so many messages where people like, I want the Bill Burr one.
Right.
Um, aside from that, I'm doing a couple other things next month. Um, one big thing that I've been working on for a while, and if you like the music we were talking about and the kind of the more 90s throwback stuff we talked about today, I think you're going to love what I post. Like it's I almost told you about it before we started recording, and I was like, no. I can't tell them, because it's such a trip, and it's either going to like, to me it's either going to be a success in the sense that like, even if 100 people go, holy shit,
Mm.
and like purchase this thing, or like they even just like love it, and they're just like, oh my god, I can't believe like this thing exists. To me that's going to be such a success, or it's going to fall so flat. Like it's too niche, you know what I mean? Like it's too
Right.
niche. Like I'm so excited. And like most of it is done. And like I looked at it today, and I was just like, I had a smile on my face, and and it's so much of me. So all these things that we've
Mm.
talked about today, you talk about like, you mentioned how you were very quick to pick up on like, wow, this guy is inserting so much of self like into each of these figures,
Right.
or like every time, you know, like, or like looking at it as a collective, you're like, this guy, these are all these things this guy likes, and like he's just
Mm.
sharing it with people through this weird platform of artwork. Like this one thing I'm putting out, this thing, like it's everything. And that's why, like, if it does fall flat, I'm kind of gonna be like, you know what? That's fine, because this must be just so uniquely me. But if it's
Right.
successful, but I'll be a little bummed out. Like, but if it's successful, it means like, oh, I really did find some more of my people because they get this.
Yeah.
It's fun as hell.
Nice, man.
It's fun as hell, dude. I hope I didn't hype it up too much, but it's fun as hell and
No.
like so goofy, and like I'll send you one. What I'll probably do is like I might send you one. So like you're just like, and even if it just sits on a shelf or like you pass it along to someone, like I think you'll be like, oh, this was the thing he talked about. It's just
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
You piqued my curiosity.
yeah. And you might not even get it quite. You might not
Right.
get it totally, but I think now that you've gotten to know me, you're gonna totally get it.
Hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited to check it out. Nice. Well, it's been fun, man. This is a blast. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time. I was
No, this was cool. I've been
just
looking.
kind of in the zone.
I was really looking forward to this, and it just so happened I taped the other podcast tonight, 2 weeks notice with my friend Dana, and then this, and I can't believe I actually have this evening off from work. Like it all just worked out, and
Nice.
I was talking to friends, who aren't in the loop of Star Wars. I was talking to a girlfriend of mine who's like not quite in the loop with like Star Wars stuff, and I was like explaining to her, I was like, no, I'm really excited. And of course, she was like excited about. No, there's no offense to you. She was excited that like I was on a podcast where, the guests have been like Dashboard and Taken Back Sunday and me. She was like, "That's awesome!" Like,
Right.
she's like, "But what's?"
That's way more fun.
And she's
That's,
like,
yeah, trust me.
What's the other one?" And I had to explain to her. I was like, "Okay, this guy, he's awesome. He's just amazing." And I started reading his book, and like, he wears a stormtrooper helmet. And she was like, all right, that's cool. She's like, all right, it's cool. I'm like, but the initial like, yeah, he wears a stormtrooper helmet. She was just like, what? And then I explained to her how like I'm finding like-minded things, and like who you are as a creative and who I am as a creative, and like, dude, you're one of my people, man. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
I can't believe
Absolutely. It's cool, man. It's been cool. Absolutely. I love what you've built. It's hard to explain. I mean, I've told so many people about it, sent all my buddies obviously we all listen to the same type of music. So I would like send them the Coheed figure, just random shit. And it's it's so unique and different. And I hope it's as successful as you want it to be, man. I hope it ends up being everything you want it to be.
Yeah,
It's incredible.
Thanks so much, man. And if you're ever around New England, like you always got a place to visit for sure. Come to my nerd cave.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a buddy that lives up there, in New Hampshire. And actually my sister, there's a Coast Guard base. Her and her husband are stationed there. God, I should know. I really should know. It's like a small. I think it's in Cape Cod. I think.
Oh, okay.
I believe so. But
you have a buddy in New Hampshire.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he lives up. Yeah.
Well, I always tell people, like, whenever people say like, "Oh, I want to visit Boston," I always joke. I say why. Like I say why, and like they're like so floored by that. They're like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "No." I was like, "You spend a day in Boston. Like you could spend 2 days there. Like go ahead. Like go to a museum. Go see, do
the Freedom Trail.
Go see the Freedom Trail. Do the touristy stuff. Like go to Fenway Park, or see a bit. Go to the Garden, or like whatever. But then like rent a car and go to Portland, Maine. Go to Burlington, Vermont. Come to New Hampshire, like especially whatever time of year it is. Like hike a fucking mountain. Like
right.
See dope shit. See beauty. You know what I mean? Like
right. Well, that's like people who come over here from another country and they just go to like Disney World in Orlando.
Oh, right.
God damn it! Like,
right.
Go out west. Go to our beaches. Not everything is a Ruby Tuesdays.
Right. Well, that's just, I mean, we're two Star Wars freaks, and we just
Yeah,
basically
I
said
know.
like, don't be a consumer.
Right, I know.
Everything. This whole discussion has been like about what we consume and buy.
Yeah, true. It's very true. It's very true.
But it's like, okay, hey man, life's about balance, right? So it's like that, and my whole thing was like, go to Boston. Like, what are you gonna do in Boston? Well, I'm going to Fenway Park. Oh, absolutely, go to Fenway Park.
Yeah.
Go to the museum. Go to the aquarium. Check out some touristy stuff. But then like hop in a car and literally drive an hour and a half or hour and 45 minutes to Portland, Maine, which is like such a cooler city than Boston ever could be. Like, it's just, you're talking about breweries. Like, when I was still drinking, it's like they have the best beer. Like, they have these great breweries, great restaurants that I hope survive the pandemic, obviously. But like, and then like you're actually near like a beach you'd want to visit. Like you don't want to go to the beaches in the North Shore of Massachusetts. No offense to anyone, but it's like the beaches in Massachusetts are gross. Even most of Cape Cod is gross. Like, go to the beaches in Maine.
Being from Florida, I've gone to the beach my entire life. I took a road trip with a bunch of buddies up to Delaware, and we were like, yeah, we're gonna get a beach house. And I fucking go on the beach, and I'm like, what the fuck is this beach?
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, it's
I know it's just different, but like being from Florida and being used to,
yeah. Well, there's
beautiful sand.
Oh yeah, there's coastline in New Hampshire too. Like, look, there's a beach in New Hampshire, Hampton Beach. It's not pretty. I mean, there's got a cool boardwalk. There's a cool music venue there. It's not pretty. But I can hop in my car. Like, when people come here, it's like I always tell them, like, figure out a way to just like spend some time in the lakes and mountains in New Hampshire, or like hop in a car and like go to the beaches in Maine. Find these other cool towns like in New England. Portsmouth, New Hampshire, great little city, awesome like little nightlife walk around. Like, Portsmouth, New Hampshire looks like a Norman Rockwell painting. That's what New England to me should look like. Burlington, Vermont, the same way. Like, Burlington, Vermont is just such a cool town. And all these towns are like within a few hours of each other. Like,
right.
When I go to the beach, I just drive like 50 miles over the border into Maine and like go to the beaches there. Yeah, I don't go into Boston too much anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
I don't work for like Visit New Hampshire, like the tourism board or anything.
Well, it's like we live, kind of in St. Augustine, and it's cool and all, but like when I see people coming from all over the place to visit St. Augustine, it's like technically the oldest city in America, but I mean, it's super like, I don't know how to describe it. There's certain places that just have like really shitty gimmicky t-shirt shops.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's like wall to wall that.
Gotcha.
I don't know how to describe it. I don't know. I mean, it's cool, but maybe I'm just so used to it.
Dude, I hope I didn't get like too like chatty during this, because I've
no, not at all, man. It's nice. Usually it's just me on this goddamn microphone all by myself, so it's nice to have a conversation.
Okay, cool. I hope I just didn't like talk over you and stuff.
No, not at all. Not at all.
See, I am a comedian. I'm just super insecure. We're wrapping this up, and it's like I'm just super insecure about the past 2 hours all of a sudden. Oh.
No, it's been fun, man. It's been fun. But yeah, it's time for me to go to bed. I got a toddler that's gonna wake up.
All right, man. Well,
actually, dude, she sleeps in way later than me. She sleeps until like 7:30. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so I'm gonna hit you up after this on Instagram. I'm gonna make a little intro video, obviously, where I show off the Burr figure, and you can tell me where you want me to direct people to, whatever, your social media and stuff like that.
Yep. Cool.
We can get that. But dude, thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Yeah, Twitter as well. That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
Instagram and Twitter, absolutely. And I guess my website, which eventually I'll have a real website. Right now, it just redirects to the shop. But yeah, Instagram #1, Twitter #2, and then the website after that.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's all Wicked
But-
Joyful. So
Nice. I love it. I love the logo. I love what you're doing. I love the positivity. I love the goofy figures. Everything about it, man. The details. This car fucked Mount Washington makes me crack up. I love it. I love it all so much. But dude, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for the Burr figure. And we will talk again soon.
Awesome, man. You take care.